Hello, I'm Rosalind of David and Rosalind. We are the infamous musical duo that we've traveled all around, well, mostly around the world. I haven't been to China or Russia yet, but I'd like to go. Um, we have been married for 60 years, and I'm 82. Don't I look it? Yeah, sure, but I am. And we've got 4 kids, 4 grandkids, 1 great grandkid, and expecting a couple more soon. So I would like to tell you about myself and when we were in Louisiana, the first time that David and I came to Louisiana together in 1963. We were at the University of California. David was studying there. I was at um, Oakland Community College, and Arlie and Adrian were babies. And decided, I was chairman of Berkeley CORE, Congress of Racial Equality, which was originated in the 40s by Thurgood Marshall. And we were very obviously necessary for civil rights because David happens to be white. He's beautiful. And I'm black and beautiful, so of course we made it together. And we stuck together ever since. And we decided to come down to Louisiana and work for voter registration because we felt that we had to make the world better for our kids than it had been for us and than it was for the rest of the world. And so we dropped our children off at my mother's in Flint, Michigan. She was the mayor of Flint. Not the mayor, the city councilwoman of Flint. She didn't get to be mayor. Um, and she took care of Arlie and Adrian, who were 1 and 3 at the time. They were 63. And we came down here to register voters. And we were in the laundromat one day, and the laundromat had a sign that said color and a sign that said white. So of course I went in on the white side and said, "Isn't this nice? You have a side to do your colored clothes on and a side to do your white clothes on." And I took all my white clothes and put them on the white side, took all my colored clothes and put it on the colored side, and there were white folks and colored folks in there, and they all looked at me like I was out of my ever-loving mind, but they didn't say anything. It was interesting though. The we went to a restaurant in Ament, Louisiana, and it was interesting. It was a black restaurant because we didn't want to cause any problems. We were with Ronnie Moore at the time, and we were in a black restaurant. And when we finished eating and paid the bill and walked out the door, there was a police car out front, and they arrested David for eating in the black restaurant. They arrested the white man for eating in a black-owned restaurant. So Ronnie and I took off after the police car, but of course the police car didn't have to follow any speed limits or pay any attention to the lights, and we did. So we lost them, but we had gotten directions from the restaurant as to where the police station was, so we went to the police station, but David wasn't there. And so they said that if he wasn't there, they must have taken him to the county, to the sheriff's office, and they gave us the direction to the sheriff's office. So we checked the sheriff's office, and they said, well, the sheriff isn't here, so he must be over at the laundromat doing his laundry. And it was amazing how many of the police, sheriffs, what have you, in Louisiana owned laundromats, and we laughed about the fact that they could get all of their cleaners of laundromats, they could get all their robes clean. Sort of a left-handed joke, right? Anyhow, David took me dropped me off. No, David was with the police. Ronnie Moore, who was running the CORE in Louisiana at the time, took It was driving. It was his car we were riding in. Took us to the. Took me to a telephone. It was back in the days when you had pay telephones. We didn't have things that we could carry in our hands. We had to go up and put quarters in. And he gave me a bunch of quarters to put in. And I called Washington, D.C. He gave me the phone number for the Attorney General of the United States, Bobby
Kennedy.
And I was so excited. I completely forgot his name.
Bobby Kennedy.
But Robert Kennedy. And I called, and a very nice secretarial or voice answered, and I asked to speak to Bobby Kennedy, and I thought she was going to give me to somebody else. But the next voice I heard, I recognized immediately as being Robert Kennedy. And I said, "Hello, Attorney General Kennedy. My name is Rosalind Leonard, and I'm in Amet, Louisiana, and I'm working with Congress of Racial Equality down here, and we're registering voters, and we were eating in a black restaurant, and my husband, who's white, just got arrested there. And we thought, we checked the jail, and they hadn't taken him to the jail. The jail said they'd probably taken him to the sheriff's office, but when I went to the sheriff's office, they said that the sheriff was at his laundromat. So we thought that we would call before we go and check out the laundromat and see if you can find out anything about what's happening. My husband's name is David Leonard, and he's 23 years old, and so am I. And please do whatever you can to help. He said, I will. He said, you go on over to the laundromat and check it out, and I'm going to make some phone calls. So we drove over to the sheriff's office, and David went up. No, Ronnie went up to check. Ronnie's black like me, and David was arrested. Oh, God. And anyhow, Ronnie went up, and he comes running back out to the car, and he said, the sheriff said that he had sent David with the police officers to take him outside and drop him off outside of the city limits and tell him to keep going. So Ronnie was down the highway, down the road. We were still in town, and we saw the police car coming, so he slowed down. And we drove past the police car, and we looked at them, and they looked at us. And it was the same police officer who had arrested David in the first place, and I'm sure he recognized me. And so after the police car was gone far enough, Roddy speeded up again, and we went zooming toward the city limits. But before we got to city limits, there was David walking back towards in town. He had come back across the city limits and was walking back toward and carrying his guitar over his shoulder. And I was really tickled pink about the fact that he was walking toward us, as opposed to he was still on the other side, outside city limits. So we got him in the car, him and the guitar, and we drove back to the sheriff's laundromat to let him know that we had picked him up. Ronnie was like that. He was like, you don't let them have any more than you absolutely have to. They can kill you, but as long as you were alive, you had to be fighting for your rights. You had to be fighting for registration. You had to be fighting for dignity. And we still have to fight that. Do you realize that? I was 23 years old now, and now I am 81, and we are still fighting those same battles. And I wish that you would come out and help us fight too. You can always register voters. You can always write your congressman. And the other thing I would like for you to do, outlaw the Confederate flag. Now, I had nothing against the Confederate flags, okay? When David and I were married back at Berkeley, we had 2 flags over our bedroom. We had a Confederate flag and an American flag. And David was born in Virginia, which is how come we had the Confederate flag. I was born in Michigan, so that's how come we had the American flag. So it isn't that we object to the flag per se. What we object to is the way it's being used now, and the way it's disgusting. And I think that we really have to outlaw it. And I hope you agree with me. Thank you. It's like, bye. Love you.